evening for a time of civil dialogue and discussion. Tonight, we want to invite a spirit of sharing ideas about what our city means and its future with the candidates who are running for office in the upcoming election this April. And so we want to thank you for being here tonight. My name is Josh Blevins. I'll be moderating the evening and asking some of the questions. We're grateful to all of our candidates who made it out tonight to be part of this event. And tonight we want to just hear from them, their ideas, their heart, their vision for the city, and for where we are as a people. And so as we are at a church tonight, and we put this event on because we believe that there should be moral clarity to our leadership, and so we invite God to be present in his wisdom. And so I would like to pray to open tonight's event. God, we thank you for your love for the world and for your truth and for all the things that you do in the lives of people. And we thank you that you have governed the affairs of nations and mankind from the beginning, and we look to you for guidance and wisdom. We humble ourselves before you, recognizing that you are the ultimate ruler and king and Lord over all, and we pray for our city. We pray that it would be blessed with joy and favor and a place, Lord, where people can thrive and become everything that they were created to be. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, I'd like to invite our first group up tonight. We're going to be having the city council candidates for districts 3 and 4 start us off this evening. So I'll invite them up to come sit at the table. We have Dana, Andrew, Michael, and Russell, if he's... Well, thank you guys again for being here. Just a couple guidelines for the evening. Each candidate will have a set amount of time to respond. We're asking for responses within 60 seconds. 90, we will not stop you. After 90, we will intervene. We ask the candidates to be completely respectful of one another and stay within just the bounds of respectful dialogue. This is a forum and not a debate, and so responses should be directed to the audience rather than to each other. And we're aiming for clear and concise answers for everyone. Opening question, I'd like you to each take maybe 30 seconds to share with us why you're running for city council and why you think ultimately the public should vote for you. And feel free to take that mic and put it up to you and hold it and share it with each other. Dana, would you like to start?
Good evening, and thank you to Grace Calvary for hosting tonight. My name is Dana Stickley. I'm running for District 3 for City Council. I am a lifelong resident of St. Joseph. I'm a mother of 2 in the school system right now. About 3 years ago, I purchased my home and intentionally decided to plant my roots here and to stay here. I believe St. Joseph is a wonderful place to live, a beautiful place to live with a lot of great things that are happening, and I'd like to continue to build on that momentum and be a part of the positive growth.
Thank you. Andrew?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to be really slow because my voice isn't working today. I'm running for council again because I grew up in St. Joe back in the day when we had a really good economic structure, good social structure. And I would like to see us return to those days when we had a strong, powerful economy, great schools, a good government system. We're beginning to turn we've had the first uptick in population in 40 or 50 years this last couple of years. So I'd like to see that continue to grow and the economic development in the city continue to grow.
Thank you. Michael?
Good evening. I'm Mike Grimm, City Council District 4. I decided when I quit flying, I traveled all over the world, and I live here by choice, not because I ever found any place better. And I really wanted to give back to the city. I have enjoyed St. Joe. I'm a lifelong resident. It was the best way I could think of to give back, and that was to help make it a better, more vibrant city. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Russell Moore. I've been on the city council for 4 years prior to this current term. The reason primarily the reason I'm running is because I believe everyone deserves a choice when they go to the ballot box. I never did like the acclamation where people run unopposed and they're automatically elected. I've worked 50 years, over 50 years for the city of St. Joseph. I've seen a lot of changes, some good, some not so good. Mostly good, though. I like St. Joe. I've been through a lot of the conflicts with when we had to determine annexations. That was a very difficult time through St. Joe everyone had to go through. But I am big on public safety. Primarily, that's where I come from. I'm a retired firefighter. I put 42 years on the fire department. And I'll wait for some next questions.
Thank you. I have a question for each of you, and Dana, we can start with you. There's a reputation in politics that politicians a lot of times can't be trusted, or there's a lot of compromise behind the scenes. Do you believe that moral character is an important part of serving in public office? And what is the baseline or the standard by which you judge what is morally and ethically right and wrong?
Sure, thank you. So, for me, professionally, I left this out of my introduction. I'm a social worker by trade. This is would be my 10th year working with the public. For the first almost 7 years, I worked in child welfare, and the last almost 3, I've been working with hospice, and so I've been working with the aging and dying population. As a social worker, I have had the opportunity to work with a wide range of folks, and I do have an ethical code that I am bound by professionally. I would say that I also, have am guided by policy as well, and I believe that that's important to mention. So, that's what I have. That's what I'm guided by, and a little bit about my background professionally.
Thank you. Same question.
Thank you. Like Dana, I was a medical professional for years, including being an Air Force medical commander for 16 years. You have to have an ethical code to do what you do. You have to understand what's needed, particularly in city politics. You have to understand what the city needs based on what people in the city tell you, but you have to follow a moral code to make sure that you keep everything on the level. So it's critical. It's absolutely critical to have a good moral standard.
Thank you.
The only thing we have to really sell to people is our morals and our ethics. And certainly, as a conservative Christian, my ethics and morals are governed by God. And I can assure you that telling the truth, even if it hurts, is something that I will always do.
Thank you.
I consider morality to be a very subjective issue. What's moral for one group may not be moral for another group. My ethics was developed over many, many years. My phone's ringing. And you can tell from the ringtone, my personality usually leans that way. The years that I put on the fire department taught me ethical code. We were there to serve the public, period. And that's what we did. So in terms of morality, I don't really have great opinion. I'm not really a religious man. I was raised to believe that there was a God, that Jesus existed, that Jesus loved us all, and that Jesus, and I many, many times in my life, have asked myself, what would Jesus think or say about a conflicting issue that I might be going through? And so I've had that in my life, but I've had to deal with it personally. I don't usually reveal that to the public. That's just my own personal.
Thank you. Since we're with you, we can start with you on this next question. What do you believe the most pressing issue is in your district that you're running for? And what do you plan to do in the next 12 months to address it, at least one of the top things?
Streets and alleyways. The alleyways in District 4 are deplorable. And they could use a little bit of business upgrade too on the South Belt. I didn't like it that the animal shelter went out there. It was not supposed to. The council before that took great measures to not allow that to happen. This council made it happen anyway, just because the city owned the property. That South Belt Highway isn't beachfront property, but it's still the Belt Highway. It's too late to do anything about it now. That animal shelter's there, it's going to stay there. But I sure hope nobody has an accident because some dog got loose out on the South Belt. But the things that can be done is an upgrade of the alleyways. Our alleyways and many of the streets in District 4 have not been addressed, have not been taken care of. The potholes are like swimming pools in many places, so that is one of the issues. And once again, I'd like to take a look at some of the South Belt business built up if we could.
Thank you.
Without a doubt, the most pressing issue that we have is the loss of people in the city. Doesn't matter what district. It's something that we have to correct. We have to find the housing, we have to find the jobs, we have to find the amenities. And I think over the next 4 years, one of the biggest things is the housing. New apartment going in up by the North Shops. Off of Pear, there's another housing development that's getting ready to start. So without a doubt, the loss of people, because it hurts our revenue, it hurts everything about the city. So we have to correct that. As far as Russell, and I just want to address this, the first council that he's talking about made a terrible mistake in where they were going to put the animal shelter. You couldn't get in, you couldn't get out, and now we put it on the Belt Highway with the agreement of the people that take care of animals, the Friends of the Animal Shelter. Thought it was a tremendous idea, and that's where we put it. And I think that it makes for a wonderful in and out for the people.
Thank you.
In District 3, we have a few problems that are a little bit different, but overall housing is a big issue because it's very hard to increase our economic development when we don't have homes for people when jobs move into the city. So we've worked pretty hard for the last few years to develop infill housing. We've worked to develop new complexes, and we'll continue to work to get better middle-class housing, which is really what we're lacking in a great capacity. In District 3 specifically, roads and highways are a big issue. We have a couple of the major highways in St. Joe going through District 3. But a lot of the local roads are bad and need to be reworked. So we have worked feverishly to upgrade our systems. We've upgraded the system of rating roads on survivability and which roads need to be replaced first or recovered first. And we're working diligently to come up with a bigger budget for the next couple of years to hopefully really dive into improving the roadways in St. Joe.
Thank you.
So going around and talking, sorry, that was loud. But anyway, so going around and talking to people, I've heard a lot of talk, and I would be remiss if I left out the big issue in our district is that a lot of our schools are closing. And, we've done a great job in trying to work on sidewalks and roadways, but now kids can't walk to school. So, that's the thing that are on the top, tip of people's tongues whenever you're knocking on doors and you're talking to people. However, I wanted to bring that up, not because I have any great ideas how to fix this issue with the district, but because I think that the energy is activated in the community right now, and that is fertile ground for bringing folks together and brainstorming. And look at this turnout. There are so many folks that are here that want to hear from us, and I think that is inspiring in itself. I've seen so many community members coming out and wanting to be involved, and I have to give it to the school district. People are activated, and I think that that's a good thing. I think we build on that, and we can bring our communities together, and that just do nothing but attract and retain folks. If we can be a part of the community and feel like our voices are heard and lifted up, that's going to keep people around. So that's what I have.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a question to the incumbents only, so Andrew and Michael. What's one decision you made that you're proud of in your service, and is there one that you might change?
What would say that? Would you ask it
Is
again?
there one moment or decision you're most proud of in your service, and is there one that you might change?
Look, we're like everybody else. We make mistakes, and we have to go back and correct them. Hopefully, we can, and so we're far from perfect. I'm proud of a lot of things we've done in this city. From what we've done with the COVID money, we spent almost $17 million on infrastructure. The windows at the City Hall were 100 years old, and we replaced those. So we did a lot of things with the infrastructure that I'm really proud of. One of the things that I guess when we talked about a pool and we decided to put it up at the YMCA, I was opposed to it because I thought it would be difficult to get people to and from it. And fortunately, I worked with the mayor and the city manager and the transportation people, and we're going to offer free bus tickets based on income to and from the Y. And I'm pretty proud of that because I worked hard on that one to make it happen.
Thank you.
My dad used to tell me, don't ever try to be perfect because there's only one guy who's ever been perfect, and he paid one heck of a price for that. So I am far from perfect. I'm proud of that. Yeah, we've made some mistakes. I don't think we've made any major blunders, but we've made mistakes. But this particular council has talked more than any other council I've ever followed. I can't verify that, but we speak a lot. We oftentimes get looked at funny because we vote a lot of times unanimously, and it's because we have discussed every issue in detail with each other as a group, and so we clarify the issues in our own minds first. So the last few years that we've really been diligent about openly discussing every single issue has helped a lot. So I do think that we've done a better job in the last half of our term than we did in the first half of our term in getting things right.
Now for the challengers, one question is, what would you perceive having been done in the current city council that you feel like you'd want to do differently? Either one.
Well,
Russell, why don't you go first?
I'll speak to it. ARPA money. I sat on the council when the ARPA money first came in. We had to do the hard work of determining who qualified for, Mike called it COVID money. It came in at a little over 19 million the first round. The second round was also a little over like 19.2 million. The ARPA money was never supposed to go to the Discovery Center, but it did anyway. This council voted to give $2.5 million of ARPA to the Discovery Center. Now, I don't know how many of you know much about the Mosaic Life Care Foundation. They had $31 million in their bank account, but they had their hand out to the city asking for ARPA money for the Discovery Center. That money should have gone mostly, we had many businesses that had to be shut down. They're the ones that should have received a good portion of that money. And I'm talking about the leftover money. There was $4 million left that the council that I was on passed on to the new council. We didn't expect them to give it to the Discovery Center, but they did. I'm sorry, I know you want me to stop, but this is important. They ignored. We had a closed-door meeting. I can't give you too many details, but I promise you we had many attorneys in there all telling us, don't give it to the Discovery Center. They don't qualify.
Okay, thank you.
This council knew it anyway. They did it anyway.
Okay. Dana?
Would you repeat the question for me?
From your perception of the current city council, are there things that you would do differently from what you see them currently doing on any specific issue?
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, or build upon, I would say. I just respectfully hear that, there's been a lot better communication between council members over the last few years, and I agree that that is certainly a good thing. What I'm hearing from the community is chatter about having more communication with the community. And what I want to say is also kudos to the communications director. So I've recently found that the city's added a communications director that's been working hard on this aspect. And so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I want to highlight the things that are working well, and just, we can build on that. And so certainly communication is a strong value and foundational part of my campaign, and so certainly more community engagement and building on the good things that are already happening in that direction.
Current statistics show that there has been an improvement over the past year in crime within St. Joseph, but it still holds a higher crime rate, homelessness rate, addiction rate than many other cities its size or around the same size in our state. What do you see as some of the core issues of how to address, and I realize there's a number of things in that, but how to address the issue of addiction, homelessness, and poverty that's in our city? What's the city council's responsibility in addressing that issue? Andrew, why don't you start?
All right. Those are big subjects, and unfortunately, nobody has all the answers. We have looked at a number of other cities across the country who have dealt with these issues in what we think is a very positive manner. Their statistics are better than most in the country, and we have begun adopting some of those policies. The first one is that we have hired a couple of extra people within the police department to specifically help homeless people who have gotten in trouble in some manner. Not all of them have any dealing with the police, but when they do, we have people who can guide them and take them and direct them to places where they can go and get help. They can get mental health care if they need it. They can get housing, whatever they request. And there are a number of agencies in this community who are very good at doing those things. They're just not always known to all the right people. So that's the biggest thing that we've done. Our mayor has done a lot of research through various means to find the origins of homelessness. And as he can tell you, there are many, many origins, and we can't begin to understand them all, so it will never reach everyone. But we're trying to reach the most obvious ones and the people who are seemingly in the greatest need. So hopefully those will begin to get better in the next little bit. That program just started, well, there are 2 programs. It basically just started in the last year.
Thank you. Michael?
Great question. The crime statistics are down in St. Joe. We were 24 officers short. We're now 8. We'll never get to 0 because there's always someone retiring. Within the police department, we've allocated the money for them to hire a social worker to go out with the police department to the homeless enclaves. There's actually 70 of them in St. Joe. Huge, huge population. We've also reinstated the court where if you're, let's say one of them's arrested for trespassing, they can go to that court. If they want the help, the court can help them get that, whether it be drugs, alcohol, or mental illness. One of the big things we don't have is any way for inpatient mental illness right now. We are working on that with Mosaic. We've also, I think, and something as kind of a side note, we have purchased 60 additional police cars. And so that way we can put all the officers on the street. Before we didn't have enough cars to put everybody on the street.
Great. Thank you. Dana?
Yes. So, yeah, very big question. And I just want to highlight some of the things that are working well already in our community. I'm very proud of the Urgent Care Mental Health Center that's out on Fredericks, that's in our district, or right there on the line. Anyway, if you don't know about that place, it is fantastic. And the Guidance Center here in St. Joseph is filling a huge need for mental health resources. Something I've seen ebb and flow over my years here in St. Joseph are the resources for the addicted and for the addiction community and for recovery programs. I remember we used to have an inpatient program just downtown, and so I'm grateful to hear that there are plans for this for Mosaic to expand their treatment programs, because that's a really big need and I think part of the solution. I think the community missions is doing a fantastic job in addressing the homelessness issues that are not just downtown. Andy and I were talking, there are several folks in our district and District 3 too. There are folks everywhere that need this help and resource. So I'm grateful that the community missions is doing a great job getting out there, partnering. It's not just one agency. There are many legs of the government that's going to need to help to address these issues. And yeah, sorry, I'm out of time.
Thank you so much. Russell?
Yeah, we've had homelessness here in St. Joseph for many, many years. I don't really know, I don't think any of us do, how to properly address. I do know that there are many programs that are out there to help the people that are without shelter. We just, as I understand it, I think the news reported that we just had a man die, and I think it was the elements that got him. He didn't have a place to go. That's one of the things we need to provide. We need to look into taking care of many of these. I don't think that they purposely show up in St. Joe. There is some some theory that they do, that they come here because they get better treatment in St. Joseph than they would anywhere else. I don't believe that. I think, quite honestly, they're here by happenstance. I know that many of them also had drug issues. I had some family members myself down. We tried to help. They had to seek a shelter at the Haven, and they're going to have to, I don't know how to deal with all of the drug programs, but we have many of them. So.
Thank you. Okay, we're down to our last couple minutes, so I'd like to do just a really quick rapid fire. If you can answer shortly on these rapid fire issues. Downtown improving or declining, and does it matter? We'll start with you, Dana.
That's a hard question, considering we've had several downtown businesses close in the last just several months. I think maybe up to 6 this year already. I mean, all along the Frederick corridor, yes, it does matter. Downtown's the heart of our town, of our city. I've seen it ebb and flow as well, and I believe that there's a lot of goodness there in the downtown, and that it certainly matters. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree that it matters. We've had a wonderful downtown for years and years, and since urban renewal in 72 or 3, it's been a challenge. It's been a major challenge. But there's a lot of work going on. There's road repairs, there's parking garage repairs, there's always businesses going in and out, but there's more stability than there has been.
Thank you.
Yes, and downtown is improving. But one thing everyone has to remember, the city can't create businesses. They have to want to come downtown, and they have to want to stay in St. Joe and build downtown. We've given them the tools, we've given them the money, and much to chagrin of my opponent, 1,000 people a month are going through the Discovery Center, which will bring them to downtown. We have also redone the Civic Arena. If you haven't been down to see it, go look at it. First time it's ever been painted since it was built in the 80s, and of course we've redone the inside. So yes, the downtown is improving.
Thank you.
Well, Michael made it sound like I was against the Discovery Center. I wanted them to qualify. I wanted them to. They just didn't. Now, I'm glad that they're operating. I just had an issue where they got the funding. It shouldn't have come from taxpayers' dollars. It should have come strictly from Mosaic Life Care. Now, is downtown improving? Yes, it is. And there's a lot of room left. I do enjoy going downtown. I see that there is more businesses opening down there, and I'm really happy to see that. I lived in St. Joseph for a very, very long time, and I remember when we used to have walk cattywampus across from one corner to another. I remember the Hirsch's buildings. I remember many before Frederick. Frederick used to stop, by the way, at 8th Street. That's no longer the case. Stops down there at 9th now. But that's how long I've been around St. Joseph. It is improving, and it is great. I just think that there's a lot of room left to do better for downtown St. Joe.
Great, thank you. Last question, and in addition to answering the last question, if you want to just give your quick closing remarks about why you believe the public should trust your leadership and vote for you, then you're welcome to do that as well. But as a pastor and pastoring a church of many people who love this community and are involved in it, do you see the possibility, the potential for the city to partner with faith-based organizations on things like addiction recovery and homelessness and issues in our city? Start with you.
I think there are several addiction recovery models that are faith-based, even in our greater Kansas City region, that I am familiar with, and I think that they do a great service to their community and the region. And so I certainly would support faith-based recovery in this community and believe that that I would get behind that and figuring out how we could support that. I think that the more recovery and treatment options that we have in St. Joseph, the better. So, in my closing remarks, I just wanted to say thank you for having me this evening, and I really appreciate the community engagement. Again, it just certainly inspires me to see so many faces here, some familiar and some new. So I'm Dana, I'm your neighbor. I hope you vote for me because I believe in the goodness of this community and of the humans here. And so again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely believe that there's room for faith-based services. My mother was around in the origins of InterServe and participated in a lot of faith-based programs as a leader and a volunteer. So there's absolutely room, and I absolutely believe that one of the best ways to stem drug use and alcohol abuse and many of those types of problems is a faith-based model. So absolutely.
Thank you.
I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you, Pastor Blevins, for having this and putting this together. I would appreciate your vote. I think we've done a good job in the last 4 years at bringing St. Joseph together. I think we've done a good job in most part in spending the money that we've had allocated for projects to the correct projects, and I think that we have made a turn to make St. Joseph a better place.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. It wasn't so many years ago that the churches actually took care of things. And suddenly that turned around and the government took it over, and you can see where we're at. So faith-based is absolutely the way to do it. And I hope that it changes more to that. I want to say something. My beautiful wife is out here. We just celebrated our 57th wedding anniversary. And 4 years ago, I spent my anniversary right here doing what I'm doing tonight. So it's a tradition. So thank everybody for coming, and I hope you'll consider me when you go to the polls.
Thank you.
Yes, I believe faith-based organizations have a place in every community, and I would absolutely support a partnership when it comes to drug addiction or helping any organization or population within a community that needs help. The city needs partners, whether it's faith-based or if it's private partnerships. Many times that does work out well. So that's my answer.
All right. Well, can we thank these four candidates this evening? And we're going to take a quick 30-second transition to our next group, and that will be the council at large, so they can come up at this time.
Michael. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
is he coming? Well, thank you all for being here again tonight. We did want to make mention that Frederick Martin was initially going to be here, but has a daughter in I believe, a state basketball championship game. So I have a question for each of you. If you can each take 1 minute to answer it. Marty, we'll start with you. What does a thriving St. Joseph look like in 10 years under your leadership today?
I think, thank you for having us, Marty Novak. Thriving St. Joseph, we've increased population, we've increased housing, we've brought people back, we have people who work here and live here. I think that's very important. We have a lot of commuters that go back and forth, that work here, but they don't live here. And that's what makes the community, building it as a whole. So really, a growing St. Joseph is going to add to everything.
Kenton?
Same question.
Yeah, same question.
Hi, I'm Kenton Randolph. A thriving community in St. Joseph in 10 years is pretty much exactly what Marty was saying. So I think we have to focus on population growth. We have to focus on business growth. And I think, honestly, we've done a tremendous job in those efforts. We are encouraging, our doors are open to businesses to come to St. Joseph, housing initiatives, all sorts of things that we can do to support St. Joseph and to continue to grow our population base. It's a must that we have good infrastructure beautification. Our schools are essential to get them straightened out to where they're strong. Those are things that attract people to communities, and we have to focus on the things that really attract people to communities. Our police force has done a stellar job to reduce our crime rates over the last couple of years. So we're in the right track to continue to see growth, and those are the most important functions that a community can focus on.
Thank you. Jeff?
For me, a thriving location, thriving for the city here in the near future in 10 years, I would like to see St. Joe grow to over 100,000 people here. I think St. Joe has the ability to do that. The main things that we need to work on is maintaining and upgrading our infrastructure to do that. We also need to keep continually working on our public safety here, which we've done in the past, and we just need to keep continually maintaining that. Obviously, economic growth and job retention is very big, that we need to make sure that we continue to do that. We are striving for that, and housing also for the younger youth, to bring them in here and attract them. And then, and that would go along with housing and neighborhood revitalization. Try to help out some of the lower income housing areas and try to build them up a little bit. And we're currently working on that with different programs. So I think we can do that, and we're continually doing that. We started that with our first 4 years, and that's kind of why I want to get back into the race again and continue the good things that we've done in the first 4 years. So.
Thank you.
All right, Randy Schultz here. So what I would like to see is what we continued in these first 4 years. We had tried to make decisions for not the immediate future, but your next 4 to 5 years. That's what we've been doing as a council. Take an example, we had the landfill issues. Well, we have cell 8 open is now, correct. But now we've also started working on cell 9, and that is in the future. That's not for tomorrow, that's in the future for the citizens of St. Joe. We're already looking at a new industrial park out to the east, and that's for new jobs in St. Joe. Right now, we're currently, they're looking at doing the infill housing. Infill housing is something I'd like to see in 5 to 10 years, that our inner city properties and land that are vacant are now with vibrant communities with families and children of everybody living together. I don't care where you come from, any of it. We're all living together and we're thriving, and we're also being a walkable city. I know that's something big a couple of our candidates are really passionate about, is having a walkable city.
Thank you.
Good evening. Gary Wilkinson. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. A thriving city. A thriving city is made up of, to my opinion, thriving individuals. So we need to work on improving employment opportunities. Not just entry-level jobs, but jobs that will support a thriving city. If we can start doing that, we can expand our tax base. If we can expand our tax base, we can get some of these things that we need. Education, healthcare, all these things, the infrastructure goes into a thriving city. And the main thing, we need to improve our attitude. Have a can-do attitude. We can do that.
Thank you.
My name is Dakota Allen. I am running for City Council at large. I think a thriving St. Joseph for me in 10 years, Randy kind of stole my thunder. I'm the walkability guy for sure. At the parade, there was a lady outside of one of the bars that looked at me and said, "Fix them sidewalks." So definitely one of my biggest priorities. I think a walkable city is definitely one of the things we need to be talking about. I teach Missouri history right now, and we are featured in Missouri history books, and my class was pretty surprised. They're like, why? And I want to get back to being a city that my students understand why we're featured in the history books. And besides that, just serving as a metropolitan hub for the rural communities around us that can continue to serve. That's what I grew up coming to St. Joseph. This was the place to be. Had my first date here because I grew up in a small town. I'm not afraid to wait for the payoff on my policy. So if it waits 10 years before it really has the impact, then we'll do that investment.
Hello, my name's Colin Clive, and I'm running for City Council at large. And I love this question because I think being focused on the future is so important for what we're doing. I am passionate about infill housing. And not only does this provide good, affordable, single-family starter homes for folks in some of our most distressed neighborhoods and provides the opportunity to revitalize those areas, turn empty lots into wonderful neighborhoods. It also provides a stable foundation on which to finance the city. That kind of development, when we do infill housing, allows us to draw in revenue, provide good housing, but also not expand our infrastructure in such a way that's unsustainable. So that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about it. The other thing that I'm passionate about is in 10 years, I want to see stakeholders throughout this community providing more affordable childcare benefits. I think that will keep more people here. It will improve employment. It'll bring more business opportunities and allow working people to thrive.
Thank you. Colin, since we're with you, we'll start on this in this time. The question is, regarding your leadership, what drives your convictions and leaderships when you know you can't please everybody?
That's a great question. As an Army officer, I did get to experience many times when I was leading in situations where I couldn't make everyone happy. I think that it's important to balance the need to accomplish a mission along with an attitude of servant leadership. If you know what you're about and you know what needs to get done, that can be the driving force behind achieving your goal. But you have to balance that with a sense of servant leadership and just understand the equities and interests of everybody involved. That's something I'm very passionate about and something that's been foundational to my lived experience. So I really appreciate the question.
Thank you.
I think this will sound familiar to some people in the room, but what you do to the least of us, you do unto me. I think that focusing on the most disenfranchised in our community and serving them in the best way that we possibly can, in turn has a ripple effect across our entire community. The better we can serve the lowest amongst us, the better we're serving the best amongst us. I think that for too long, our city has kind of had a dichotomy in that, and we've had a lot of service that was focused on the most successful amongst us. There are a number of city policies and programs that need to be reevaluated in the way that funding is invested in this city. We can't just give the most wealthy and successful amongst us the money that we're getting when we have the opportunity to be doing more needs-based approaches in our city. So overall, I think that's my moral guideline, is that we need to be serving the least amongst us, and along the way, we have a lot of really awesome guidelines to protect us. We need to have these conversations out in the open, stop having these 5-minute meetings, and make sure that the public is heard and hears us.
I think when we talk about leadership and trying to please everyone, I think we should focus less on trying to please everyone and more on trying to do the right thing. I was the superintendent of the streets in University City, Missouri. It's a suburb of St. Louis. And my crew was made up of mostly inner city residents. Most of them had a Class B operator's license. But to operate some of our equipment, they needed to have a Class A operator's license. A lot of them didn't have the wherewithal to go and take the training. So I had a decision to make. How was I going to get my division up to speed, and what was I going to do if I didn't have enough people? Now, I could start hiring people in that already had the Class A's, but what I did is I set up a class in the afternoon, a training class, and I taught these individuals every Tuesday for 2 months, and many of them graduated to be able to get a Class A license. So my focus was on doing the right thing and providing leadership, and you can do both.
Thank you. My leadership style is I lead by example. I've been an electrical contractor for 38 years, so I've been in the family business for a long time. So if I start a project and I'm leading my men and women into the field, I don't expect them to do a job that I wouldn't do. So I will lead them, and if there's a nasty, dirty job, I'll be the first one to jump in and do it. That's just what I do. I like to get in there. I like to work with people. I'll get the job done. And if you all need something from me, I'm 24/7 on the phone. Might leave a message, but I'll be there. But I am a type of person that works hard every day, and I lead by example.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that question again?
Yes. What defines your conviction and leadership when you know that you can't please everybody?
That I can't what?
Please everybody.
Please everyone, okay. Well, as far as the last 4 years, sitting on the city council, we do have a lot of people that get on social media and talk and different things about what we're doing as a council there. And so that's usually about 10% of the city population that's on there. So you really can't listen to those outside sources. You need to really take to heart what it is for the city. And basically, I haven't lived here all my life, but most of my life. And I want to make sure that I take care of the citizens' taxpayer dollars. And that's important to me. I'm a taxpayer here just like you guys out there in the audience, and I want to make sure that everything is spent wisely and that we are doing it the proper way. And I think really in this whole experience, I mean, of being on the council, I've learned a lot, and I think experience matters, especially when you're managing taxpayers' dollars, and we have a big budget that we work with. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm a big believer in just doing things the right way and just doing what's best. So I've started a business the hard way from ground up 27 years ago that takes care of people that have mass levels of disability. So I see a lot of satisfaction and dissatisfaction when it comes to that type of business. Relating it back to what I do on the council is the same way. I'm available 24/7. I show up for St. Joseph. I've born and raised here, multiple generations deep. I care about people, and I care about their future success, regardless of what it is. If it's something that I can help with, I will do. If I can't, I'll make sure I go to the right source that can help with that. So I think it's critical to move a community in the right direction and to strengthen our community by just doing the right thing. it's not difficult. The right thing is really what you need to do. Business, ethics, government in my vocabulary, is the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think my leadership style is I like to get in the weeds and see what's out there. I mean, you got to understand people, you got to talk to people, you got to work with people, and in order to understand what their needs are so we can address those. And then how are we going to gain the greatest good? That's what we're here for. We're here for the people. We're the emissaries for the citizens of St. Joseph. And so consequently, you know, if you're not available to them, it's not, you're not doing your job. So I think my leadership style is trying to walk alongside the people of St. Joseph, understand where they're coming from, and then go for the greatest good.
Thank you. We'll start with you on this question, and we just have a couple more. It's been said tonight probably 4 or 5 times that I've observed. We want to do the right thing. We want to do what's right. But if you ask 5 people what the right thing is, you're going to have 5 different definitions of what's right. I think a lot of voters, myself included, want to know what guides your moral compass on what you determine is right or wrong.
You want to start with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I want to be, my moral compass is what would I like to see for myself. I mean, you know, my faith is a very, very strong part of my life. It's always been. And I think that sets your path forward. So, you know, you base your integrity and everything else off of that. And, you know, really guiding that, you know, I was lucky to have a wonderful family. I grew up here in St. Joseph and had a lot of good foundation in order to get to where I am today. It's a lot of hard work and, you know, just doing the right thing. You know, I don't think it's very difficult.
Thank you.
Well, I would say that, you know, I keep my word. So I show up for St. Joseph, I keep my word, and I don't back down on what I believe is the right thing. And I think anybody out there that knows me, which I recognize a few people, that they know that I'm a pretty hard hitter when it comes to believing in what I feel is ethically correct and what I stand for. I have nothing to hide there. So I think my mission has always been very straightforward, and if you don't realize that there is an alternative route to just making things a little bit better by doing something right besides going around the back end, I think you have a lot better future success, and I think you build a lot better character. Like I said, I built a business from scratch, which is no one knows what it's like to make payroll. No one knows what it's like to have employees and start off at 0 and work your way up for 27 years. It takes a lot of drive, and it takes a lot of teamwork. And those are things that mean the most. And no matter what business that you're in, whether it's private enterprise or whether it's government, teamwork is very high on that ethical chart as well.
Thank you.
Well, I think that morals and ethics, as far as that, starts with pretty much faith and family. And I know growing up in a home with a wonderful family that guided me in my wisdom to learn those things and build that. And then now with my wife and my son, we're continuing those things. And so, yeah, I think that definitely helps everyone build that foundation, is having a good foundation and growing on that to make sure that you do that. And I just stand behind what I say I'm going to do, and I make sure that I do it in the proper manner and make sure that I'm doing it the right way. And I think that's just the bottom line, is just common sense. Make sure that you do it and you don't lie, you don't fib about stuff, you just do what's right. And that's what I'm trying to do for the city of St. Joe.
Thanks.
I've always believed that My word is my bond. That's how I was raised by my grandparents, my parents. That was something when you, my age group, that you followed the golden rule. If you got caught lying, you got caught lying, you owned up to lying, you owned up to your mistakes. One thing I will do, my word is my bond, but if I make a mistake, I'll own up to that too, because that's my moral compass, that I can see different sides of a situation, different sides of anything, and have a conversation about it. And I think that's what a good moral person would do. You're out there, you're listening to one side or the other, but then you have to make that final decision, and that's just between you and that's in your council, and you'll have to make that decision. So I feel like that's one of my strengths, that I listen to people, I understand. I know a lot of different, I will represent all the different backgrounds of St. Joseph, Missouri, because that's the way I was raised. You listen to everybody, and that's my morals.
I think we are a compilation of what we have learned, what we have experienced during our lifetimes. And of that, we choose to discard or we choose to retain, and that's what makes us who we are. My parents, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts have always been service-oriented. Do what we can to help others. My uncle's Big John Lucas. Many of you know him. He was the first African-American council member in St. Joseph. He worked for the Central Fruit Company, and he would come by in his truck and pick up kids in the neighborhood and take them on his routes. They go out to King City, Stanberry, all the little small towns around. He weighed about 350 pounds. So he would get out of his truck, grab a 100-pound sack of potatoes in one hand, another one in the other hand, 200 pounds, and stroll in the door. And as soon as they saw him, they started smiling. Here comes Big John. He started, after he got out of the service, he was in World War II, landed at Omaha Beach. He was an ambulance driver. And he went to, after he came back, he started Big John's Athletic Club. They won the St. Joseph boxing title 14 out of 15 years. And my dad was also service-oriented, so that's where I get my values from. Thank you.
I think one of the things that's pretty awesome about when we're talking about local issues is, thankfully, unlike a lot of the national things that we talk about, there's not as much contention. We can all agree that we want our neighbor to have access to success, we want good roads, and we probably want some walkable opportunities. So at the end of the day, thankfully, there's not as much contention here. When there is, we can fall back on who we are. I'm guided by the fact that I'm a follower of Christ. I love people deeply, whether I agree with them or not. There's been a lot of opportunities for me to demonstrate that I can do that recently. On the campaign trail, there's been a little bit of hatred here and there, but I can turn the other cheek and look at people with love. And thankfully, there's a lot of opportunities to listen on the campaign trail. Experience is awesome, but if you think that you've learned everything you have to learn, then you're not listening to your constituents, and we need to be willing to learn every step of the way. When things get confusing, thankfully there's law. I'm grateful for Randy for pointing this out. This is just some guidance on what we can and can't do as city councilors in closed sessions and open sessions. And there's a lot of really awesome opportunities for us to be held accountable in the way that we approach, the way that we serve the public. But at the end of the day, I just like to continue to fall back on who I am and loving my neighbor no matter what, whether we agree or not.
Thank you.
So my moral compass, I think, is best encompassed by some of the words from Micah 6:8, that you should act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. And I think that this manifests itself in several ways. By acting justly, you emphasize fairness, honesty, and integrity, and I think that that's critical in public service. I think you also have to love mercy by showing compassion for all the members of our community, especially the least among us. And walking humbly with your God, to me, means that you have the humility to listen to all the voices in the community as children of God, and to consider their interests and all voices in the decisions that you make. That's what really guides me, and I really appreciate the question.
Thank you. We'll do one final question for each of you, and we'll just do what we've been doing. We can start here and go back the other way. And feel free, after the question is over, to make your final statement about yourself and why you believe the public should vote for you. But if you had to prioritize one thing, public safety, economic growth, or infrastructure, or something else, which one would it be and why?
That's a great question because, I'm very passionate about kind of infill housing and the effect that it has on our infrastructure. But based on conversations that I have had with people in St. Joe, if I had to emphasize just one, you have to make sure that you make people safe. I have heard harrowing stories of people's experience, and it just becomes foundational to what a government has to provide for people and make sure that they're safe. So if it had to be one thing, I think you would have to emphasize public safety. With that, I'm so happy to be here today. Pastor Blevins, thank you for hosting and making this available to us. I believe that my experience and leadership makes me well-suited to serve on the council. I'm someone who is a proud Lafayette grad and came back home after serving in the Army. I want to continue to serve, and I would just really appreciate everyone's support. Thank you.
I think those are all very important issues, and so it's difficult, and probably all of us are going to have difficulty choosing. But at the end of the day, I think infrastructure is something that we really need to be focusing on as a city, and not because public safety isn't important, but because I think that they work together. If we have infrastructure that is flowing and operating properly in our city, then we're at the end of the day a safer city in the long run. We're at the end of the day a more economically stable city in the long run. I talk about sidewalks as the veins throughout our city, and if we don't have our lifeblood of our people moving throughout our city in a streamlined manner, we're developing blood clots and things start to get unsafe. They start to get economically fragile and disenfranchised among different classes. So I think infrastructure is a huge priority for me. I also just want to give this city a shout out. I lived in Kansas City for quite a few years, and there's a remarkable amount of unsafe situations there that we do not face here. So a huge shout out to our police force and to those that are responsible for keeping us safe. I do want to thank you for having me. I've really appreciated the dialogue here. This has been a remarkable opportunity for us to have a respectful conversation about what we're passionate about. I just want to kind of give that final appeal that I am an experienced activist. I know I am young, but I've worked with the Office of Child Advocate. I served as a Missouri State FFA officer. I can get down and dirty and talk about some politics, even with people I disagree with. So I'm ready to represent you, I'm ready to listen to you, and I'm ready to hold the rest of the City Council accountable to doing the same. I will not make decisions behind closed doors. They will be made right in front of you, and I will ask the questions that need to happen to make sure that you understand what was said behind the closed doors.
Thank you.
Can you read that again, the question?
Yes, if you had to prioritize one, public safety, economic growth, or infrastructure, which comes first and why?
Tough choices. I would say economic growth. If we have economic growth, I think we can provide public safety and infrastructure. And the things that we need to do the economic growth are the efficient use of our resources. I think that's something that we need to do more of. So I would say economic growth. Our system of government is a form of representative government where citizens elect individuals to govern on their behalf. The system was framed under trying circumstances and has thus far stood the test of time. System that will remain relevant as long as those in power acknowledge the fact that they serve at the consent of the governed. The prospective council members that you see here reflect a wide range of interests from various backgrounds, involving business acumen, skilled crafters, managers, gender and cultural diversity. Yes, I said the D word. And youthful enthusiasm and energy. But one thing I gather from our sessions interacting with residents is that as all of us share a genuine concern for the well-being of this city. and sincerely want to see it grow and prosper. Now, we may differ in how we wish to accomplish it, but just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to be disagreeable. During our forum, certain topics came up. Well, I'm going to end that with, remember, common courtesy and common sense are traits that transcend generations. They transcend diplomas, wealth, culture, and status. With that, I'll ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think they're all three important, but I think you're going to have to start with infrastructure. If you have streets that are not passable, you have sidewalks you can't walk on, you don't have sidewalks for your children to go to school with, that's an infrastructure. You have your wastewater treatment. I'll go in the weeds here and get in trouble, but your wastewater treatment is a very expensive animal that needs to eat, and we need then population growth, which is economics. Economic growth brings those tax dollars in, and then you'll have to have the police. The police is one of the most incredible, they go out every day, and it's public safety, and you're not sure if they're coming home, right? All of us get to come home. They don't get to. So those are three hard topics to choose, and I appreciate it. On those, I would say those top three that all of us have to live by, and you all out there want us to live by to get you a better infrastructure, better public safety, and a really top-notch police force. My name's Randy Schultz. I'm a very approachable person. I think I proved that. I listen to both sides of the issues, and that's what I'll do for the next 4 years if you vote me in. Cell phones 24/7. Give me a call, and I will listen to you. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
All right, very good question. As far as my concern of it is, yeah, they are very all important, but I've had a big compassion and making sure that our police and fire department are well taken care of. And I think in the last 4 years, we've shown that as a council. Our staffing in 2022, the St. Joe Department was 31 officers down, and now they're down to a variable level of 7 to 19. We've added recruiting retention position to the St. Joseph Police Department. We've allocated ARPA funding to upgrade 11-year-old police vehicles that were falling apart and saving the city $5 million in fleet replacement. Also incentive to recruiting for officers that they must live within 10 miles of the city for response time. And the list goes on what we've done for the police department and the fire department. They all have new vehicles. The fire department, we've been taking care of their fleet also. But overall, I just want to let you know that from 2014 to 2022, the city allocated $5.6 million for the St. Joseph's Police Department. From 2022 to 2026, we allocated $13.2 million. We're taking care of our police department so you guys can be safe out there. That's the main concern. You don't have a town if you don't have a safe community. And again, thank you for coming out this evening. My name is Jeff Schomburg. Again, when you go out to the polls, try to re-elect me there. We've got 8 great candidates out here. It's going to be your choice to pick the best 4 out of the group, and I hope you do choose me again and re-elect me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. So, hands down, it's public safety. I mean, no community grows and prospers and develops into a great community unless we're safe. Everything else can fall in suit thereafter, and it's proven that's what's going to happen. We have to curb crime, and we've done a great job of that. We've supported police, fire, health. We're on the right track there, 100%. But that's where I stand. Everything else can grow easily when we're safe in a community. So I'm Kenton Randolph. I was born and raised in St. Joseph. My family's from here from the last 8-10 generations. My wife's here in the audience. We have 2 children. My daughter moved back to St. Joseph. I love St. Joseph. I show up every day for St. Joseph, whether it's work or related to the city. I'm very accessible, so everybody has my number. If they don't, then they don't know me at all, but I'm very transparent on what I do and what I say. You know, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with Pastor Blevins. It's been a great opportunity. It's always been nice. And I appreciate this community more than most people realize that my love runs deep for St. Joe. I don't get paid to do what I do, sitting up here or sitting in City Hall. But I know that I show up and I do the right things, and I keep my word, and I plan on doing that for the next 4 years if you choose to reelect me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think public safety is paramount. I mean, you know, that's the right of every citizen to make sure that they're safe, their homes are secured, protected from fire. And, you know, infrastructure is vital. It's important. You know, we've got to have it. So, you know, that's very important, but also responsible growth. You know, we've got to grow our city. I've said that before. You've heard all of us say it's really important that we work and continue to grow our city. And, you know, we've got to expand on the opportunities we have and really take advantage of those. And so, you know, we've worked really hard. You know, I personally have worked very hard to be accessible. I think our council has worked very hard to be very accessible to the entire city. We've strived greatly to make sure our communications have really improved, and I think we've seen a vast improvement in that in the last year. I think, you know, it's important to stay connected with our constituents. I'm always talking to my constituents and voters and really trying to make sure I'm present when people need to have issues addressed. I think, you know, I want to continue to try and be a voice for the city of St. Joseph. My goal is St. Joseph is my home. I want to leave it a little bit better when I go than when I came, and I'd appreciate your vote on Marty Novak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all again. Can we give our candidates a hand for being part of this tonight? And as we dismiss, we have one more portion. We'd love for take a quick minute to do a quick stage change, and we'll be having a mayoral discussion next. Well, y'all have been wonderful. Thank you again. And tonight we're going to close our time together. I'm going to have a discussion with our current mayor, John Josendale. And Larry Miller was invited, but he was not able to attend this evening. So I thought we would have a discussion with you about how things are going and what you hope to see to accomplish in the next year. And I think that's where I'd like to start. In this next season, if you were to be elected as mayor, what is the priority list in your mind about what you can accomplish with this council for St. Joe?
Again, thank you all for having me. There's a lot going on in St. Joe, and as we talk about where we are and where we're going. There are a lot of opportunities ahead, and we've started a lot of things, and this has been a good council. We've done a lot to accomplish things that are good for all the people. I think as we look at where we're going, economic growth, let's back up and really go to the point that I think one of the biggest accomplishments that's happened over the last 4 years is we have 14 divisions in St. Joe, which a lot of you don't understand. There are 14 different department heads, and they report to the city manager. And over the last 4 years, we've replaced 11 of the 14, including the city manager. And with the city manager, I think one of our best accomplishments in the last 4 years was bringing in the new city manager. He is very keyed toward the future on where we're going. I think he's a good leader, and he's got a team that he's working with that I think we've accomplished a lot, and I give him a lot of credit for that. As we move forward, though, I think that it's important for, we talked about different things that are important. Attitude in the city of St. Joe, attitude would be the part that I would really want to go out and push. We did a survey under the new city manager to where we asked what the people really wanted. And I've heard that a number of comments tonight about what do you need to do? And what you need to do is listen to the people. You need to understand what their desires are. The top 3 things that we got back on that survey were police protection, code enforcement, and communication. And we're trying to address those. So as you see us going forward, and what I would like to be part of is how do we accomplish that? We've done a lot more with communication so that people understand what we're doing. In fact, in the next week or so, you're going to get the next copy of Connect magazine, which tells what we're doing and really dives into some areas. Like I think one of the comments in it will be about wastewater, so people will understand what that is. But moving forward, St. Joe's on the crust of being able to do a lot of really good things. We've got some really neat economic development issues that are coming that we feel pretty positive about, which bring new jobs, higher paying jobs. We're now known for a city that does our own workforce development, and I think that's something that's overlooked by a lot of people. But what we've done in supporting Missouri Western and Hilliard Tech, and how we do that to where not everybody has to go to college, but being able to train people to go to work right away. And some of those are in manufacturing jobs, and some of those are the opportunity to go to a 4-year college. So there's a lot of positive things on the horizon in St. Joe, and I think how we work together as a community plays into that a lot.
Wonderful. People in public office are not above accountability or criticism, and it's often, there's a lot of criticism plentiful in that position. So as the mayor, what do you think are some fair criticisms of the local government in St. Joseph, and what are you really proud of that you would stand and say, I think that's, there's some things out there that aren't really accurate?
There's a lot of things not accurate, but one of the things you try not to do is everyone has an opinion and you want them to be able to take it. But I will tell you that social media is very difficult because on any subject you're going to have a pro and a con. And you've got to remember that all the people that were up here tonight, myself included, you put your name on a ballot. And that's step number one. It's an adventure in itself. But any decision you make, there's a positive and a negative. Someone's going to like it, someone's not. You're going to hear more out of the naysayers than you are from the positive side. But being able to work through that. And, I've heard discussions tonight about what leads you into that. How do you get there? And, listening to the people and feeling what the people really are trying to tell you, getting past, the hurt or the feeling, and understanding and really being able to put that into a team approach, because the council is made up of 9 people. And you're never going to have a total answer to everything, but you're trying to do what's best for everybody. And in some cases where you have a specific issue, it may not be what's best for the total community. So being able to communicate that and talk about that is extremely important.
Yeah. Well, I've asked this to all the council members. I want to ask you too, what guides your moral compass and moral outlook, your ethics, your integrity? What are the baseline beliefs that make you determine what is right and wrong and how you lead and what this city promotes?
That's so fair. You know the inside answer to that. I was born and raised in St. Joe. My parents were very involved, traveled a lot. My dad made sure we saw everything. One of my best friends growing up at Gene Field School was an individual by the name of David Myers. David's grandfather was Rabbi Myers. So I was exposed to the Jewish religion. I was exposed in military school to numerous different religions. I was very involved at military school in the church and the chapel there because we had what they called Vespers. So my background has been exposed to everything. And I also, when I was younger, had an experience. I get in trouble for being emotional. But that is me. And actually, the council jokes about it because they all kind of bet on how long it'll take me to get emotional. But I had an experience where I was electrocuted as a kid. And by electrocuted, I was DOA at the hospital. So I feel like I'm here for a reason. And I believe in people. You've heard me talk, others have heard me talk. It's all about people. You know, whether it's the person sitting next to you or the people you work with or the people you serve in an elected office. We're all here for a short time. We're all here and we can each make a difference. There's not a person in the room or a person that we talk to that can't make a difference. If you give people opportunities, if you work with people, and if you make it real. Don't be make-believe, don't be what you aren't, just be real, and you can make a difference.
Thank you. Let's talk about St. Joe as a community that attracts people. How do you make St. Joseph not just an affordable place to live, but a desirable place to live? And what are some of the limitations that you see for that kind of expansion?
There's a lot of things that we're working on and a lot of things that can make a difference. I mean, you want to live in a community that wants you to be there, number one. You want to have the opportunities, whether it be through employment economically, to sustain your desires in life. You want to have the amenities that make it worthwhile to be here. So as we work at, I've heard about people talking about infill housing. We've talked about mid-size housing. Housing is one of our biggest needs. That came back in the survey. And as we try to attract new businesses, which gives you the economic growth, that is a big player in what we're trying to do. So as we talk to developers to come here and build new apartment buildings or new hotels or new houses, they've got to build it to where it makes a difference. In fact, one of the funny stories that go into as we're talking to developers and they're talking about the new apartment complex that's going in, or as we look at building a new building here, one of the requirements is they want a pickleball court. But pickleball is a big thing now. And, you know, so how do you make that amenity? And we, as a council, have tried to do that in the parks. If you go out to the trails that were done over the last few years, the bike trails, you can go there at any given time and there'll be 7 or 8 license plates from out of state for people that come here that want to be here. What we've been able to do with the arena, where we've attracted people to come and we brought events there, and people that come here and see it and want to come back or want to stay. So you make it to where it's enjoyable to be here. We've got to have a friendly atmosphere because people want to be around other people that have like opinions or like ideas. So where we all can communicate, and we can communicate in a positive manner, then I think we can bring more and more people in.
Yeah. On a personal level, what do you think the hardest decision you've had to make as mayor is?
There have been a lot of decisions that have been tough. We don't do everything right, and I think anybody would admit to that. There have been a lot of issues that I've worked back and forth. I feel very strongly that we as a council have, for the most part, done the right thing. I think that there are people that don't agree to that. I mean, I've been called a lot of names. It's been tough at times, but I would tell you that I look back now and, you know, where we made a decision on the landfill, and originally we had a lot of issues with the landfill and had to do that. Probably the hardest one of the hardest ones I've had was this council, and where we changed course on the pool. I mean, because a lot of people took that very personally, and what, again, we're trying to do is make it long-term what's best for the city. A lot of people also feel that I have made decisions which take one part of the community and ignore them to another part. We're trying to do what's best for the entire community that is positive for everybody. And it's tough when people come at you for making a decision that you think is right and attack you personally on it versus trying to do it as a group, as a whole, what's best for everyone.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. What does integrity look like in leadership when no one else is watching?
Integrity in leadership is, it's never easy to make those decisions. And as you think through it and you listen to people and you listen to the different stories, you keep in mind what the end journey is. And the end journey for all of us is to have a good, fruitful life, that we can enjoy others, and that we make a difference. I think everyone in the room wants to make a difference. And when you talk about elected officials, whether myself or any of the council members or school board members or representatives, anyone, they're trying to do what in their mind they think is the right thing. And when you listen to people and you work with people and actually feel what they feel, I mean, and part of that is just being able to listen. You know, I had a professor, when I was working on my MBA, I had a professor that he said, ground yourself, sit there and listen. And if you ever want to really listen, before you respond, repeat what he said to you. And in doing that, not only does it take you the time to understand what that person said, but it also lets him know that you listened to what he said. And that's something that I've learned and I've tried to put into, and sometimes I don't do that as well as others, but I try to do that because I think that does make a difference. Make them understand that you hear them.
And do you believe it's possible to genuinely listen, care, and love other people that disagree with you, but still make decisions that they don't agree with?
Absolutely. We don't all live in the same world, but we live in the same world. We don't all think alike, and that's part of the uniqueness of being a human being. I mean, if you look at the Word, and if we follow the Word, then part of that listening is what is so important. That's what Jesus did. That's what God does to us every day. I mean, I do believe that. I'm very strongly about that. You won't hear me out pushing for others to tell me how they feel about that, but I will tell you how I feel. I'm a true believer that anyone can have their feelings. I have mine. I don't want yours forced on me or me forced on you, but I want to be able to listen to what your train of thought or your thoughts are.
Yeah. Maybe if we can switch gears a minute on the issue that has been talked about this evening, and public safety and the pockets of the community that maybe there's a generational effect of addiction or increased crime. There's an approach where we come from the top down. There's also an approach that, there's a lot of people that are, they don't know any better. They haven't learned any different. What's a balanced approach in your mind to making St. Joseph a safer place where families feel like they can thrive and be part of that community?
It's a great question. I've heard different ones talking about where we are with the homeless right now and where we are. And I think one of the council members said that there are numerous different definitions of homeless. Where we are at this point, there's an upward approach and a downward approach. The downward approach usually doesn't work very well. I mean, the downward approach is from above, you have to understand what's going on. But when you're trying to deal with the homeless, when you're trying to deal with drug people, when you're trying to deal with mentally issues, being able to get hands-on. One of the things that we talked about as we work through the program is when you approach homelessness and you approach the people that need help. And I heard you ask earlier about faith-based, and a lot of this is faith-based because it has to be. That's in reaching out to the homeless, you have a very short window on when you can connect. And one of the issues that we've had in the area here is they would connect and it'd be 6-8 weeks before you could get them in to see someone. You've got to get them in front of someone right away. So what we're trying to do through the new programs that we're doing, we're trying to get them in front of people right away so that they understand that somebody really does care. I mean, part of the issues that we have found out there is that they don't feel like anyone cares. They don't feel like anyone is listening to them. And just if you do the top-down approach, that's not the way to make them feel like you're really feeling it or being part of it. If you work with, and where we go with an officer and maybe a counselor with him, and we get that person right away, and we, the city, have taken to where we've set up X number of rooms that we can get them somewhere right away, and then get them connected with someone like the next day. That makes a difference, because feeling that somebody really cares can change a life overnight.
Yeah. What are some very practical things you think you could do as a mayor or the city council could do to increase continued trust, transparency, and communication with the people of St. Joe?
Again, we're doing some of that. I've heard it tonight. The communication director that we have now, we're trying to enforce or encourage our entire group. And there are a lot of city employees, but we're trying each department to get out there and tell people what we're doing, whether it be through Connect Magazine. The police department has their own website now to where they're giving stories about what they do and how they do it. We're trying to put press releases out that talk about it. one of the things that I've committed to with the city manager is going forward, if I'm elected, which I hope you will elect me, but if I am, doing town halls on a regular basis. And whether it be maybe come here 1 month or go somewhere else 1 month, to where you go around different parts of the city, and we'll bring in different council members that are, involved in this area, whether it be this district, or we'll bring in different department heads, so that, again, we can have question and answer, so that we can be more transparent. I do want to clarify one thing if I can, because it comes up a lot, this idea of closed-door meetings. There are certain things that have to happen behind a closed door, whether it be a personnel issue, whether it be a contract issue, things like that. So when we talk about a closed-door meeting, that's what our closed doors are. We don't talk about issues. We get a packet about that thick every week of what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks that we have to read up on. And you will hear different council members talk to each other. So when we talk about that, that's when, again, we have a first reading and a second reading, so that you all have the opportunity to talk to us or reach out to us, and we want to be able to do that. So again, being more transparent in how we do that and how we talk to you, we're going to let it be known, we're going to put it out there, and we're going to try and talk to the public more.
Wonderful. In a survey that we've done of several people that have responded to it, one of the perceptions is that St. Joe might be hesitant to embrace change or take risks. Do you think there needs to be a more conservative long-term approach, or do you think it's time in St. Joe to take some risks and do some new innovative things to expand the community?
11 new directors have made a difference. I would tell you that one of the best things I think this council has done has brought the new city manager in. I said that before, but part of the reason I say that is the first individual that has been in the city management in 30 years with fresh eyes. Everyone else has been brought up from inside. So he came from first Kansas City, then Lebanon, Missouri, and he approached it very differently. He's very hands-on with the directors. He's very much trying to get the directors involved, and it's the other side that we've talked about is, and you have brought it up a couple of times tonight, how are we talking about the future? You know, as bad as this sounds, the city for years and years was into building something and they will come. Well, now when we look at that, it's building it and how are you going to take care of it? You know, we talked about, you've heard about the money that we've put in for the police cars. Well, okay, we bought a bunch of police cars, but what's the plan for when those get tired? Now the directors now have to have a plan for how are you going to take care of those? How are you going to replace those? When we buy a $1 million fire truck, what's your plan for the next one we buy? So we're having them put together budgets and looking at the future. So how do we make the city sustainable down the road? And I think being able to say you've got a group that's actually thinking about that now versus where it used to be, that's where we're getting it started. But making sure you all know that we're doing that, and how do you participate in that? How are you part of that? And part of that is us being out talking to you and or you talking to us and making sure. We'll do a survey on a regular basis so that you're giving that input. Just like you said, it was a survey. That survey came back 1, 2, 3, police, code enforcement, communications. All of those have been touched on now. One of the things you haven't heard yet, but is coming out in the next, I think, month or two, we've got a new system that's going to be set up, and they're going to be 2 beehives. They call them beehives. And each of those beehives will have drones in them. And those drones will be able to respond immediately. And that's for City Works, it's for the fire, and it's for the police. And when I say that, they're drones that go up. They'll be, each hive will have 3 of them, I think. They go up, they'll have infrared cameras, so they can be on site of a fire long before the fire department gets there, and they can be feeding information back. The police, they can have them on site. When we saw the demonstration, there was somebody walking on St. Joe Avenue. They had the drone up and on that person within, a minute and a half. And for the city streets, where you all have a pothole that you want to look at, we can send something out, look at it right away, or have a crew out there. But we're doing things like that. We're being proactive in how we do. We've got a new thing coming out also, See, Click, Fix. And I know it works because my daughter actually did it. You see a pothole, you put it in there, they have to respond to you within I think it's 48 hours. And then in her case, she did see that the pothole got fixed within a couple of days. But those are things that are happening that you don't always hear about. And we have to toot our horn more about that.
Well, I think there's one more area which is a topic of great discussion, and while we have a school board that deals with our school systems, as the mayor, and what's your vision towards creating a school system and education system where the next generation of people are actually being trained and educated appropriately to make St. Joe better in the future? What are the key components that we need to address today and looking down in the next 5 to 10 years?
There you go again. I have said, and I will say over and over again, the school board is an elected group on purpose. They do that separately. But we can fix everything in the city, and we can have every amenity, we can have everything, but if we don't fix the schools, we don't fix anything. And what you want to do is, or what my vision would be, and I will support the school board and the school district to the nth degree, because we have to fix it. We have to make it to where we have an education process that works for everyone. And there's no set answer to what's right and wrong. I went to military school when I was in the 6th grade, and I got a very different education because I was there than I would have in the public schools. But I was in the public schools until then. So I've seen both, and my children have gone to both public and private. So I believe in an education process that offers all the opportunities. And, one of the things that I love that we've done in St. Joe now, the Holney Center, and where we've actually gone out and companies have put equipment in to let people train on that right away. And with the Holney Center and with Missouri Western, what they have right now between North Central and Missouri Western, they have a program which I don't think a lot of people understand or know, but you can enroll out there, and you can enroll either at North Central or Missouri Western, and your credits go either way. And that means you can start out in a 2-year program and decide that you need to go over to a 4-year program and do it with all credits combining. You can go the other way if you start out in a 4-year and you think, well, I'd really like just to do something where I could get my hands on it and get going now. You can change and your credit hours work. We've got the Hilliard Tech. So we've got programs that are there, and it's how do we work together, because whether somebody's coming out of homeschooled, whether somebody's coming from private school, or whether they're coming from the public school district, you've got to give them the opportunity. And how we give them an opportunity is supporting the children and making sure that they get everything that's due them.
Yeah. Any final words from you to the people of St. Joseph with this upcoming election? Your legacy, what do you want to leave for the people of St. Joe in how you serve them?
I would say that when I ran 4 years ago, I sat up here on the stage and I talked about all the red tape I wanted to get rid of and all the different things I wanted to do. I feel like we've accomplished a lot, and I hope that the public feels that way also. I chose to run again because I think we've got a lot of really good things on the horizon. I think we've started a lot of good things. I've had an exceptional council to work with, and I am one of 9. I keep that in mind over and over again. How we communicate, how a council communicates is extremely important. Not only how we communicate outward, but how we communicate inward, how we can talk to each other. And I hope that I give the leadership that we bring a group together, and whoever that group is, we can be successful in promoting St. Joe, because we have to go out and bring people in. We have to get the people to want to stay here. And I feel like part of my job is to do that. And I was born and raised here, love it here. It is my life. I came back to St. Joe. I always say to people that if you've never been away from St. Joe, you don't know how good St. Joe is until you come back. And I would appreciate your vote, and I appreciate the opportunity to having been able to serve you for the last 4 years.
Thank you. Can we once again thank all the candidates and our mayor for being here tonight? We really appreciate that. And as a local pastor, the Bible that I teach every week and believe in teaches me in Romans chapter 13 that we are to pray for all those who lead us and rule over us, that we might live a peaceable and quiet life in all godliness and reverence. And so if you are still here, one of the incumbents, one of those who are currently serving our city, I would ask if you'd be willing to stand just for a moment, and I would like to pray for you as we leave today. Lord, I thank you for these who are serving our community. Obviously, thank you for the candidates, too, who are running. And Lord, we pray for this city. We all have a heart to see people wanting to thrive, a community where our kids are safe and have a future, where people can meet their fullest potential. And I pray for these, not because there's anything about my prayer that counts more, but because you're a God who hears us, and that you're a God who cares, and you're a God who intervenes in our lives and in our world. And we pray for these leaders. We pray you give them wisdom that surpasses their natural understanding. We pray that you give them courage and conviction for what is good, true, and right in our city. And we pray that you would give them unity around the things that have to be done, that you might even show yourself mighty on their behalf. Because, Lord, I believe, and I'm not ashamed to say it, that we are men and you are God. And what we need more than anything is a spirit of humility, to know that anything that comes from us is ultimately a gift from you. And so I pray that these men would lead in that humility and with that servant heart, and also would be blessed and protected, them and their families. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thank you all for coming again tonight. We appreciate you being here. This was recorded and will be on votestjoe.com. Next week on Thursday night, we will have a school board forum. If you'd like to come back and join us or invite someone out, we would invite you to do that as well. Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Appreciate you.